What if I told you there's a little cemetery in a quiet American town where people still swear they see a dog who shouldn't even be alive? What if I told you he waits by the same grave every single day? Rain or shine, wind or snow, long after his own death? It sounds impossible. It sounds like a ghost story you'd hear around a campfire. But here's the thing. This isn't folklore whispered in the dark. This is a story locals will tell you with trembling voices and watery eyes. They say he's real. Close your eyes for a moment and picture this. A small town cemetery, tucked behind a line of oak trees that creak in the wind. You can almost hear the gravel crunch under your boots as you walk the path. The air is thick, heavy with that mix of cut grass and old stone. And there, just beyond the fence, you see him, a dog, golden brown fur, small, almost fragile looking, sitting so still beside a weathered headstone, his big round eyes reflecting something more than loyalty, something like grief. At first glance, you'd think nothing of it, just a pet who refuses to leave his owner. We've all heard stories like that, but this one is different, because that dog has been dead for nearly 30 years. Let's rewind back to the 1970s. The man's name was Henry Cooper, a retired mailman known around town for his slow walks, his big smile, and his best friend, a scruffy little mutt named Rusty. Rusty wasn't anything special to look at, not a purebred, not the kind of dog you brag about. But Henry, he swore Rusty was the best companion a man could ask for. Folks would see the two of them everywhere. Henry with his beat-up cap, Rusty trotting faithfully at his heels. Through rain, through blizzards, through sweltering summers, the pair were inseparable. When Henry died in 1982, the whole town came to the funeral. And Rusty, he sat by the casket, whining softly. And when they buried Henry in the town cemetery, Rusty lay down on the fresh mound of dirt, and he refused to leave. Day after day, people spotted him. The florist said she'd bring water to keep him cool. Kids tried to lure him away with food. But Rusty always came back, always to that same grave. Through every season, every storm, a faithful guard over his master's resting place. And then, in the winter of 1984, Rusty himself passed away right there on Henry's grave. The town gave him a burial beside Henry. A little marker carved with just one word, loyal. And that's where the story should have ended. But it didn't. Here's where the whispers begin. Starting in the late 80s, just a few years after Rusty's death, visitors began reporting strange things. Some said they saw paw prints in the fresh snow leading up to Henry's grave, but never away. Others swore they heard scratching at the dirt, like a dog trying to dig his way closer. And then came the sightings. A small golden brown dog, thin, gentle-eyed, sitting beside Henry's grave just as he always had. Only this time, when someone walked closer, he vanished. Not ran, not hid, vanished, like mist in the sun. The cemetery keeper said he nearly quit after his first encounter. He was locking the gates one evening, the moon hanging low, when he spotted the dog waiting quietly at Henry's grave. He called out, the way you call a stray. The dog lifted his head, and the keeper swore those eyes looked straight through him, full of sadness, full of love, and then gone, as if he had never been there at all. Now, skeptics will laugh. They'll say it's just people's imaginations, a trick of the light, a stray dog wandering through. But here's what makes it hard to dismiss. The sightings keep happening, year after year, generation after generation. Different people, different times, always the same description. One woman said she visited her grandmother's grave late at night, and in the corner of her eye she saw him, Rusty, lying peacefully on Henry's grave. She reached for her phone to take a picture, but her hands shook so badly the screen went black. When she looked up, the grave was empty. Another man, a veteran, said he'd never believed in ghosts a day in his life, but he swore that when he passed Henry's plot one stormy evening, the little dog was there, soaked to the bone, eyes fixed on the headstone. When lightning flashed, he could see straight through the animal. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. You see, we like to think of ghosts as people, grandparents, soldiers, children lost too soon. But what if animals have souls that linger too? What if loyalty, the deepest kind of love, is strong enough to tie even a dog to this world? Long after death, it forces us to ask a question we don't really like to face. If devotion is eternal, what does that say about us? Will we too be remembered by the bonds we kept, or by the ones we broke? Rusty's story isn't just about a ghost dog. It's about a love so pure, so unshakable, that not even death could tear it apart. And that, well, that's why people still leave flowers at his little marker. That's why children still whisper when they pass Henry's grave. Because in that quiet town cemetery, where the oak trees creak and the wind carries secrets, a dog still waits, still faithful, still watching, still loyal. So next time you visit an old cemetery, pay attention. Listen for the crunch of unseen paws in the gravel. Look closely at the edges of the stones. You just might catch a glimpse of him, a golden brown shadow, curled up by the one he loved most. And maybe, just maybe, you'll realize some stories aren't just stories. They're promises. And this one belongs to a little dog who simply couldn't say goodbye. If this story touched you, give it a like. Leave a comment sharing your thoughts. And don't forget to subscribe for more tales like this one, because sometimes the most haunting stories are also the most beautiful.